That's on?
I'm on the
That's
internet.
live? Okay, so we're
Hi
live on
everybody
mobile.
on Instagram.
We should also be live from the computer.
Yeah.
So I think we're
Hi,
good.
welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today on our live chat here from Governor's House Residence. My name is Valerie Edmonds and I am the Manager of Student Recruitment here at Nipissing University. I've got a few lovely people with me here today. We have most of our recruitment team here. Sitting next to me is Christopher Pekarski.
Hey guys.
Some other people we have kind of in the back all around. We have John Picard.
Hello.
We have Kyle Letherall. We have Kyle Anderson. And behind back there, we have
Producing.
Carla Tucker.
Okay.
And then we also have Sarah Marinelli, but she's out on the road right now doing some visits at colleges. But we're excited to be here. I also have two more guests to introduce. One who is here now and one who will be joining us in a little bit. So right now I'm going to introduce Courtney Mayer. She is the Supervisor of Residence Student Education, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about what her position is and what it is here in residence.
Perfect. Hi all. Again, my name is Courtney Meyer. I'm the Supervisor of Residence Student Education. So my job here in residence at Nipissing University is largely around the programming that happens in residence. So while we obviously provide suites and houses for our incoming students, we also try to plan a lot of really fun events and programs for our students to take part in so that they're learning things, they're having fun, and they're becoming engaged in their communities. I also do help out with the hiring and training of our residence life staff, so that includes our Dawn staff, to make sure that you all have those people in place for you to help you transition during your time here at the university and in residence.
Awesome, thank you. So we also have Heather Brown joining us later, and she is the Associate Registrar Admissions. If you have any admissions questions, we will have somebody from the admissions office here. So if you want to send them in, we'll wait probably till she gets here to answer them, but feel free to do that as well. So we are live currently on Facebook as well as Instagram, so feel free to send in your questions on both of those platforms. You can also send in your questions via Twitter, and we'll make sure to answer them live right here. And any questions that maybe we can't get to, we will send out all the information after on the bottom of any of these live videos. So at any time during this video, please type in your questions. We have a whole bunch of us who are monitoring them, and that's what we're here for, is to answer any questions you have. So I'm going to start off by asking Courtney a few questions. Or do we have a question here?
Just one more thing actually. Since we're kind of monitoring so many different platforms and we have a little setup here, if there's any issues in terms of technicalities or technical issues, whether it's mic or recording or something stops or skips, just message us on any of those platforms Val just mentioned, and we'll do what we can to help out.
Awesome. Okay, so Courtney, I'm going to ask you some questions. We might get interrupted, or hopefully we have some other questions that are coming in. Thank you, Chris, and we'll be waiting for Heather to come in shortly. Okay, so a lot of our first year students will have many questions about residence and what does residence look like here at Nipissing University. We do have one of the top ranked residences in Canada based on student opinion. Can you tell us a little bit why and how we get ranked top in Canada?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons why we are ranked so high in Canada. I think number one, the thing that's really appealing to students are the fact that they are guaranteed their own room in residence. So not only are you guaranteed as incoming first year students a room in residence, you will always have your own room in residence. So we have 4 complexes here at the university. 3 are suite style and 1 is a townhouse style. As an incoming first year student, you would only be placed in the suite style. So in that style, you would be living with 3 other people in an apartment-like setting, but you would have your own bedroom with a door that locks. So your own space, of course, that you can sort of get away, lock your door, maybe have some quiet time to study. Also our programming, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit and the horn of those who came before me, but the programming here in residence is excellent. We have some really excellent residence staff who puts on a lot of really fun events. as well as something called Residence Council, whose primary job is to serve as a voice for our students, but also to plan a lot of really great events and programs. So they'll do things like galas, even just simple things like food nights, karaoke nights, that sort of thing, so that there's pretty much something going on in any of our buildings at any time. Yeah.
Excellent, and I can definitely say I lived in residence for 4 years when I was here at Nipissing, and I absolutely loved my entire time. I made some great lifelong friendships, so they really do place you with people that you're going to get along with and have a great first year and continue living in residence if you so choose to, because they are really that good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you tell them a little bit about the process? So once they've applied to be a student, what does it look like basically before they move in?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you have received your acceptance from the university, you can go on the website and apply for residence. So nipissingU.ca/residence. The applications are live. You are able to apply, make your deposit once you have received that acceptance. You will see the application is fairly extensive, so we want to get a really good picture of who you are as a person so that we can match you with the best possible people. So we'll ask anything from how you like the temperature of your room, what kind of person are you? Are you an early riser? Do you go to bed late? Do you like to party? That sort of thing, so that we know that we're matching you with the best possible people. And then we have residence-like professionals such as myself, a really great admissions coordinator, shout out to Nancy, who will work towards matching all those people so that they're with the best possible people. So we don't throw it in a computer and do it in a lottery system. We actually have people who will hand select your roommates to make sure that we are giving you the best possible experience here in residence. Generally, you'll find out where you will be living and who your roommates are early to mid-August. And if you and your roommates have all consented to releasing your contact information, you'll be able to start communicating with those people, so you can start to facilitate getting ready to move into residence. And then you'll get all of that great information about orientation week and the fun that awaits you once you arrive here.
I've got to say, orientation week was probably one of my favorite times in residence, because you do get to know your roommates better, you get to know everybody else in your building, the other building better, and it kind of leads into Frosh Week, which is put on by our student union. And it's just a fun week before classes start for you to be able to experience the campus, the community, and kind of get yourself in here to see what it's all about and having a great, fun time here. So it's definitely one of my favorite times.
Absolutely. And you pointed out something that I think is really important, in that we do it, you have pretty much a full week before classes begin to do those things and have fun and get to know your environment and get to know your roommates. And just have a good time and settle in before those classes start. So you're not jumping right in right away, which I think is really nice.
It's also a great opportunity to check out the city of North Bay. You do get a city of North Bay transit pass, so you're able to kind of, get to see the city, figure out how to get to the grocery store, how to get to the movie theater, how to get downtown. One of the best beaches is really close to the downtown, so I recommend going right when you get here, because it's still warm enough out that you can go swimming, play volleyball on the beach, so it's a great opportunity to kind of use that time of year to the best of your advantage.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned about the residence application form. We get asked often, are they able to select or choose their own roommates?
Yep, so if you do have a friend that's coming to Nipissing and you know that you would like to live with that friend, you can choose to put that person on your application. As long as that person also indicates you, there's a fairly good chance that you will be placed together. In very few instances, sometimes you might not, but you would receive communication very well in advance if that were to happen. Generally, it does happen. We do definitely caution students who are asking to live with certain people to make sure that that person is going to be compatible with your living style. Again, we do match students based on personality, so if you and that person have very different personality styles, it can become challenging to match somebody else or your other two roommates to the two of you.
Awesome. So you'd also mentioned that there are 4 residence buildings that students can live in, 3 of which are the suite styles where first years would live. Mm-hmm. How do they go about selecting, or how do we go about selecting which building they'll be living in?
Yeah, again, it really just depends on the people and the candidates that we get. So the 3 suite style buildings are Governor's House, Founder's House, and Chancellor's House. If you've ever been up to the university and been on a tour of residence, you would have probably seen Governor's House, and that is our residence that is just up the hill from the campus. So it's quite close to our athletic center. So if you are a varsity athlete particularly and you are living in residence, they tend to get placed in our Governor's House residence because they have early practices and they will need to get to the athletic center fairly easily and pretty early in the morning. Our 2 other suite style residences are Chancellor's House and Founder's House, and those are located right across from the hospital as you drive into the university, just down the hill. So Chancellor's House tends to be a large portion of our first year students because it is our largest building. And then Founder's House is a little bit smaller. A lot of our nursing students tend to like to live there because it is right across from the hospital. It's very convenient. But across the board in any of our suite style residences, the suites all look pretty much identical.
Looks like we might be having a little bit of technical difficulties with our Facebook Live, so we're just trying to figure that out. So hopefully if any of you are out there on Facebook, you're still able to hear what we're saying. And if not, make sure you go over and check out the video on Instagram later. Everything will be posted after the fact. So on our Twitter especially, there will be a link from Twitter to the Instagram and Facebook live events so that you can go back and watch them after the fact. So don't worry there.
And again, that's at NU Recruitment.
Yes, and that's at NU Recruitment. So if you don't already follow us, make sure that you do, and you'll be able to stay up to date with all of the information. So on those accounts, again, you can get some update information. And feel free after the chat, if you didn't see your questions answered, feel free to give us an email or a DM. You can always email us at nuinfo@nipissinu.ca, and again, or DM us on our different social media accounts, and we'll be able to answer your questions there. I'd also like to remind everybody about our open house happening on Saturday, March 10th. That is one of the most amazing ways to be able to see our campus as well as get a tour of our residence buildings. That is what sealed the deal for me when I was in grade 12. I came for a campus tour and saw a residence. I fell in love, my parents fell in love, 2 of my sisters had actually come up for open house, they fell in love, and we all ended up coming to Nipissing and really enjoying our time. So I do have some more questions about residents. So there is a question on the application that says, are you interested in living in a mixed gender suite in your next academic year? Can you explain a little bit more about what that means for students?
Absolutely. So on your application, you will see we do ask for you to identify the gender that you most and then we will match you with roommates accordingly. So if you don't specify, and generally in your first year you will be matched with your same gender. So if you identify as a female, you would be matched with 3 other females who also identify as female. But some females and some males do prefer to live with the opposite sex, or you might have a really good male friend or female friend, or vice versa, that you might really want to live with. Maybe that's in your 2nd, 3rd, or 4th year, and you can request to live with that individual, and if we have the same from the other party, or enough people that have indicated something similar, we can match you with the opposite gender. We also do recognize that not everybody identifies with the gender that they were assigned at birth. So in order to be as inclusive as possible to those parties and be able to give them a safe and comfortable living environment, we do allow for you to indicate what you were comfortable with on your application.
Awesome. So Heather Brown, our Associate Registrar's Admission, has just arrived. So we're kind of going through some residence questions right now, and then we'll get some, questions going for admissions, because I know that's what's on a lot of people's mind at this time, especially because the standard OUAC deadline date is this evening.
Exactly.
So we decided to host the event here in residence today because it's just an amazing spot. I know one of the big selling features is the kitchen. So how does that mean for us and meal plans?
Yeah, so while we do offer meal plans on campus through a couple of our food service providers, either our cafeteria or Good to Go that is housed in our athletic center, you are not required to purchase a meal plan because you do have access to a full kitchen in each suite. So you can buy your own groceries, you can do your own cooking, which students find very handy. One thing that's really nice is we do also offer a grocery bus once a week to take students to and from the No Frills, so that you're easily able to navigate that and you're not necessarily trying to lug all of your stuff onto a city bus and figure out times and locations of that, which is very nice. So we do try to make it as easy as possible for our students to be able to do that. Our residence dons and council executives will also host programs and things if students aren't necessarily comfortable with cooking or maybe they don't quite have the basics down. So that we can get our students sort of up to speed. But I would definitely recommend, if you are coming to Nipissing and you are living in our residences, to start practicing those skills now. It's a great life skill that you will need one day, so definitely get the basics down.
So one of the things that has started in the past few years, which I know a lot of students enjoy, are the therapy dogs. Can you tell a little bit more about when they come, why they're here?
Yeah, absolutely. We do bring the therapy dogs also in weekly at every building. So who comes and which dog it is will alternate, which is nice. So we get to see quite a few dogs in our time throughout the year. And they come because we do recognize that university is a stressful time and there's a lot going on, and we don't necessarily allow pets in residence. So you may be missing your dog or your cat from home. So it's sort of a nice way to unwind, still get a little bit of that animal therapy, and maybe feel a little bit better after a long day of class or an exam.
And as they come in through all of the different residence buildings, they also come onto campus every once in a while. Mm-hmm. One of our former recruiters, Maggie, her dog Nixon actually comes in, and it is definitely calming to be able to pet an animal every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. Students love it and get very excited when they're here.
Yeah. So what is included in their residence fees throughout the year? So obviously they get their accommodations. What else is provided within that?
Yep, so a lot of the programming that we do throughout the year that our council executives or our residence don staff will do throughout the year is also included, generally free of charge. You may find the odd event that may charge a couple of dollars, but generally those things are offered to our students because they are included in their fees. So we want to make sure that we're using that to make their time comfortable, but also so that they're having a lot of fun. And then of course you're right, everything that you see, the furniture that you see us sitting on in your bedrooms, you will have a bed, a dresser, a desk, a phone. Wi-Fi of course is included as well, so you will have access to Wi-Fi in your suite and within the building, which is definitely a perk. You can also plug in if you have an Ethernet cable, but again, you do have access to that Wi-Fi, so it's not necessarily necessary. And you do also have cable. So students, if you want to watch cable television, we do have access to that. You'll just need to bring a TV with you.
So like Courtney had mentioned, there is full kitchens. So I highly recommend, once you find out who you know your roommates are, kind of decide who's going to bring what. I usually recommend a microwave and sometimes even a toaster oven.
Absolutely.
Popcorn movie nights are always a lot of fun with the roommates. So get some comfy blankets and pillows, and it's always fun to kind of hang out and do that on, even a school night.
Definitely. And I think it's definitely worth mentioning that you do have access to maintenance staff 24/7. So that's something that's a huge perk that you may not be thinking about right now, but when something goes awry at 3 a.m., our maintenance staff is there to respond to any sort of an emergency. So even if it's as simple as a light bulb burning out, they may not come at 3 a.m., but they will certainly address it the next day. If you're having issues with your internet, if for some reason your air conditioning or your heat isn't working for whatever reason, they will be there ASAP to fix that. And students overwhelmingly give really positive reviews of our maintenance staff. They are incredible.
Mm-hmm. So what about parking within residence? So we do have parking on campus, but what about for students who are living on residence?
Yeah, parking varies. You can purchase a parking pass just for residents. Depending on what residence building you were assigned to, it does vary. So I would encourage you to look at the parking website to see the fees once you are placed, because they can vary quite a bit. Most of our students do find it valuable also to buy a upper campus parking pass, so that they're able to park on campus and also park in residence. So if you do buy a campus parking pass, that also works for you to be able to park in residence as well. But if you just wanted a residence-specific parking pass, you will find that they will run a little cheaper. But again, the price varies depending on which building that you live in. So I would encourage you to check that out on the website once you're assigned a building.
And parking passes are usually around $200 to $300 for the entire academic year.
Mm-hmm. Which sounds like a lot, but I think in comparison, it's actually quite reasonable.
So sometimes we'll get students who ask, do I have to live in residence in my first year?
Yeah, you're not required to live in residence your first year. We certainly encourage it, and of course I certainly encourage it. I think it's a really important way to transition into university. It's a really easy way to meet plenty of people, have a lot of fun, and also just take the pressure off of the pressures of living alone. You don't have to deal with landlords. If something breaks down, again, our maintenance staff will be here to fix that for you. And you also receive a ton of support from not only our residence dons and our residence council executives, but also from professional staff. So one of our professional staff are on call 24/7 as well, if anything were to happen or if you needed anything at all. It's a really safe, comfortable, fun environment. I would definitely recommend it, at least in your first year. And I think we are a little bit of a different environment than most universities in that a lot of our students choose to stay in residence past their first year. And you are able to do that, absolutely, if you wish to. We do give first priority to our first year incoming students, but if you did want to stay in your second, third, and fourth year, there's a very, very good chance you would be able to do so.
Awesome, thank you. So it looks like hopefully we've become live again on Facebook. For everybody who missed out there for a few seconds, I was just talking with Courtney, and Heather Brown has now joined us from the admissions office. We'll be able to get some questions on there. Just a reminder, we are also live on Instagram, and we will be posting and connecting everything after the chat has ended, so you will be able to rewatch this later and have your questions answered. And like I had mentioned before too, if we don't get to your question, or if your question wasn't answered, you can always email us at nuinfo@nipissing.ca or DM us on any of our social media platforms, which is at NU Recruitment. So that is always availability there. So I'm going to switch over and now ask Heather some questions. So right now is a very important time for students because the OUAC application deadline is tonight.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about the application process that hopefully their guidance counselor has mentioned to them, but maybe they might be having some questions?
Yep, by now everybody should have their PIN number, and that is the main thing that you need in order to access your application. So you need that in order to be able to log on, and the first thing that you need to do is log on to your application to access what has already been pre-populated by your guidance counselor. So some of the information on your application is done on behalf of you, which is kind of nice. Other students have to fill out the whole complete application, but what's nice for you is some of that information is already there. It's a fairly easy process if you just follow each step, step by step, and fill out all the information that's requested of you. You should be able to get through your application as smoothly as possible. And the very last step will be in terms of submitting your application and getting that information all off to OUAC, the application center, and they take care of everything after that for you in terms of sending it to the universities that you've applied to, as well as making sure that any grades submitted and courses that you have completed or currently registered in that have been submitted by your schools, they take care of sending that to us, which is nice. The only thing that I would recommend is every so often log into your application, even after you've submitted it, just to make sure everything is still correct. All the grades that are being submitted are the grades that you know that are yours. All the courses that you've completed or are registered in or planning on taking next semester are still on your application. You just want to make sure everything's up to date, that all of us are receiving everything that we should be.
So once a student has put in an application to the OUAC website, what will they be getting from us?
Yep, the first thing that you receive from us is both an email as well as an acknowledgement package. So both of those are acknowledging that we received your application, and the acknowledgement package in particular also provides you with a variety of information that will help answer some of the questions that we think that you have at this point in time, ranging from pretty much anything. It'll answer some of your residence questions that you have. It'll answer some of your financial aid, scholarship, award, bursary questions that you might have, NUSU questions, so the student union questions that you might have, how to get involved, those kind of things. We have a frequently asked question section in the package. So we've tried to address as much as possible. Two other things that we hope that the acknowledged package will do is it will indicate the programs that you have applied to. We do that because this is your opportunity just to sort of double check that you did apply to the correct programs. Every so often somebody clicks the wrong thing, and that's totally okay, and you can amend your application through the application center. All you have to do is log back onto your application and make the appropriate change. So it's just a way for you to double check that we do have all the correct information. And as well as there's information on there how to log on to the My Nipissing portal and Web Advisor. And this is where you can follow the status of your application. So when you access that, that is where you're going to see your application. And as soon as an offer is made, that's the first place that you're going to see a change in the status of your application. So that's the first place, if an offer is made, where you will see that before you receive anything else. So it's good to start off there because you can keep checking back every once in a while just to see if anything has changed.
Awesome. So I know this is kind of stepping quite ahead, but I know we do get some questions about how do you accept your offer?
Yep, we've made it as easy as possible for you in order to accept your offer of admission. It is done through the Ontario University Application Centre's website. So again, it'll be you logging onto your application, and there will be a section where you can see all the applications that you've made to any Ontario university and the status there. And if you've been offered, it will there will be a place there where you can accept your offer. What we do for you in your offer of admission is we actually give you step-by-step instructions on how to do it. So we make it as easy as possible, because we realize that sometimes there's the click here that you're not sure what you're supposed to do. So we provide all that information for you. One tip for you is at the very end you should receive a confirmation number. So why I say that is sometimes students will forget the very last click. So make sure you do it all the way to the end and that you receive a confirmation number. If you follow our step-by-step instructions, you'll get right to the very end, not a problem.
So as offers go out at different time throughout the year, at different time between different institutions, are they able to change their mind of where they accept an offer to?
Yes, definitely. That is not a problem. As long as you adhere to the deadlines that are provided, which is June 1 is the standard date for all Ontario universities to accept an offer. If you happen to get an offer at one institution, you're still waiting to hear from another institution, and you want to accept the first one that you got, but that might not be necessarily the place you want to go, and then you receive an offer later, and you're like, that's where I want to go, and I want to accept that offer instead. That is not a problem. You can go into your application and basically change your mind. You basically decline the first offer that you've accepted, and then you go ahead and accept the offer that you now want. That is not a problem. Students change their mind after you do some research, come for campus tours, you know, that kind of thing. So that is totally not a problem as long as you adhere to the June 1 deadline.
So this might be a little bit of a long question, but how and when do our offers go out, and when should a student hear from us by?
So basically, the standard date that everybody should hear some sort of decision on their application, the latest date would be May 26th. Some students will have already heard from us. Our offers go out on a rolling basis. It all depends on the program that you've applied to, what grades we receive when. Some offers have been made on grade 11 grades. Some we wait till we receive all the first semester final grades. There is a couple programs in particular, our nursing program and our Bachelor of Physical and Health Education program. Because these are limited enrollment programs and the standard application deadline for those particular programs for all applicants, not just high school applicants, is actually April 1. We wait till after that deadline to make the majority of our offers. Some students may receive some offers. Those are usually done at a higher average. But basically, if you've applied to phys ed or nursing, most students will not hear until April, beginning of May. So if you don't hear from us, don't panic. I try and get that message out. It doesn't mean anything. It's just depending on how all your information is presented and the particular program that you've applied to. So don't worry, you'll hear from us.
And how will they hear from us about if they've gotten an offer?
Yeah, as I mentioned, there is the first opportunity for you to see a change in your status of your application would be on WebAdvisor. So if you're logging onto that and checking, that would be the very first place that you're going to see a decision on your application. Couple other places or things that will happen is that we send that decision to the Ontario University Application Centre, because obviously that's where you're going to accept an offer of admission, so you can see it on there as well. But also we do send an actual package in the mail, so you will receive an actual offer of admission package that will include any program that you've applied to. It will show you the decision that we've made on that particular program, and it will also provide you with additional information, not only how to accept the offer of admission, but that's where your residence information will be, and that will give you your instructions on how to apply for residence. There will be further information about scholarships, bursaries, and awards, not only about our guaranteed entrance scholarships, but any that require an application. It will remind you of the deadline date, which is May 1, but it will provide you all the information for that. And basically my recommendation is look at everything in that package, because we feel what's in there is information that will help you make a decision on whether this is Nipissing is for you. Is this the program that you want to be in? It should answer any final last minute questions that you have in order to make that decision. And is this where you want to go? So I highly recommend looking at everything, because it also will give you some information on future steps. So if you do decide to come to Nipissing, one of the things that is in there is information on our new student orientation, which happens in July. So it'll provide you some information with that, so you know that is coming up if you just decide that Nipissing is for you.
And just a tip, I do highly recommend that when you get an offer package, read it all the way through, because again, like Heather mentioned, there's a lot of great questions in there. To do with the offers, do we let students know if they've gotten an offer by email?
No, we don't. We do just do the three options, which is the on WebAdvisor, you'll see it. You'll also then OUAC, and then the paper package that will come in the mail. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt for a second. We've got a question on Instagram here from Taylor Oakham. She's asking for second year students who want to stay in res again in September. So I think this one's for you, Miss Courtney. And you have a group of 4 friends and you all know you want to room together. How would you fill out the res application to ensure that you would all be together in the same suite?
Yeah, great question. So if you have a group of 4 in your second year and you would all like to live together, you would indicate that on your application. So we do have a space that you can indicate everyone who you would like to live with. And as long as all of you have indicated all of you on that application, then there's really not generally a whole lot of reason why we wouldn't accommodate that. Again, there's a few instances where it may get tricky, but a group of 4 is pretty ideal for us, because then you've essentially done the work for us. So absolutely, you can absolutely do that. If for whatever reason somebody forgets to include a name, that's no big deal. We will still email you and follow up with you and just say, hey, this person has indicated they would like to live with you. Are you okay with that? Would you like that? And make sure everybody's on board. But there's generally no reason why that wouldn't be accommodated.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
So I do have a lot more admissions questions.
That's okay.
What I've got right now. Can you tell us a little bit about alternate offers, who potentially would get them, how they work?
So we do make what we call alternate offers, and this is for, we make them for a variety of reasons. If one example would be if you apply to one of our limited enrollment programs, and maybe you don't just have the average, the cutoff average this year to be admitted into that particular program, but you meet the minimum average for another program at Nipissing and you have the prerequisites for that particular program, we will let you know that unfortunately we can't offer you admission to the program that you've applied to, but we will let you know what you are eligible for here. So that's why it's called an alternate offer. We tell you what else you can come to Nipissing for. And so we sort of give you that opportunity to get that information, maybe ask a few questions, sort of take that all in and decide if that maybe is an option for you. So that's available there. Some students may get an alternate offer as well. Another good example is maybe you've applied to a science program and yes, you might have the average, but you're missing, say, one of the prerequisites. So one of the science courses that's required, or maybe the math courses that required, is again, what we would look at is, okay, you might not be eligible for that particular program that you've applied to, but is there another program at Nipissing that you are? And the same thing will happen is that we'll send you what we call an alternate offer of admission to what you are eligible for at Nipissing, so that you can take a look at that and see if that would be something that you'd be interested in.
Awesome. So we do have some questions from students to talk about potentially what special consideration policies do we have?
Yeah. If you feel that there is some extenuating circumstances in terms of your grades, please let us know. I recommend doing that as early as possible so that we can have that information in your file. And that can range from a variety of different things. We've had students for medical reasons feel that there was extenuating circumstances, life circumstances, whatever you feel you want to bring to our attention, possibly to explain something that's happened in your past that might have affected your grades, that you would like us to take a look at possibly. Just so that you know, some students are like, should I send it in because I'm not quite sure, I'm not sure how I want it to be looked at. I recommend, if you want it sent in and you want us to be aware of it, to send it in. If you are admitted into your program because you've met the minimum grade requirement, you have all the prerequisites, we do not go to those extenuating circumstances. But if you have it there and you don't quite get into your program and we see that you've submitted something, we will look at that information prior to making a final decision on that program. So my recommendation is, when anybody asks me that question, send it in. If we need it, we will look at it. If we don't need it, you've sent it in, at least you will have peace of mind that it was there. And so I would highly recommend it. The application, or the actual form, is on our website, and it is basically, if you Google, you should be able to Google just extenuating circumstances, but that information is in different packages that we send out. But if you just Google on our website extenuating circumstances, you should find that form. If not, just email us at admissionsu.ca, and we'd be happy to send you the link and explain further what you can send to us.
What about students who are interested in deferring an offer?
Yep. Deferring really happens after you've received an offer of admission and accepted your offer of admission, because that's the first thing that we always say to students if they haven't quite accepted their offer of admission yet and they're asking about deferring, is you need to accept your offer first.
What's deferring?
Basically, yeah. So, good question. Deferring is when a student has received an offer of admission and they've decided that maybe they need to take a year off for a variety of different reasons. Whether that is financial, so you need an extra year in order to work, make some money to be able to afford to go to university. We've had some students who've gotten some great volunteer experience opportunities given to them that they want to take advantage of because it will definitely benefit them in their future, career-wise, program-wise, but they also don't want to lose out on the opportunity of their offer that they've received from Nipissing. So it is an option in order to ask to defer. Basically what we do is ask you to accept your offer of admission and then send us an email. It would go to admissionsu.ca, and basically asking to defer your offer of admission and explain to us why. For the most part, if it's to do with finances, great experience opportunity that you've got, medical reasons, we will grant that deferral, but it is reviewed on a case-by-case basis. And then we will outline the steps that you need to take in order to secure that deferral. One of the things that will be in there is that you still have to meet the conditions of your offer of admission. So if you've received a conditional offer, what most conditional offers mean is that you've graduated from high school, you meet the minimum average required for your program, you still get the 6 4U 4M courses, including the prerequisites that's required for your program. So you will still have to meet that. And then we will hold your spot for the following year in order to for you to come back into that particular program that we've offered you admission. The one standard thing is that we ask that you do not attend any post-secondary institution during your deferral period. So that's the only really thing that we ask of you.
So at this time of the year, especially when students are starting to think about when offers are going out, what if they're noticing that their averages or their grades, like specific grades, aren't high enough?
For like at the time, so when you're asking that, I just want to make sure I understand the situation that you're asking.
When you're making your offers and you're looking at their grades when you're making the offer.
Oh, I see what you're saying, sorry. So yes, I mean, just because at a certain period of time when I look at grades that I've received, if they aren't, if I can't make an offer at the first time that I look at them, I will continue to look at applications as I receive grade data. So at this point in time, the first set of grade information that I receive is basically anything that you might have completed in grade 11, and then I will be starting to receive anything that you've completed this semester. So I'll get your final grades from your first semester courses. And then if I can't make you an offer at this point in time, that's okay, not a problem. I will still hold on to your application, no decision will be made at this point in time. And I will wait till I get midterm grades from your second semester courses and then look at your application at that point in time. Hopefully, good news will come at that point in time. I'll be able to make you an offer of admission, but don't panic again if I can't. What I do at that point in time is issue what's called a pending decision. And all that means is that we've put your application on hold and we're waiting for your final grades from second semester to come. And so we'll wait till we receive those, and then at that point in time, if we can make you an offer of admission, then we definitely will.
What happens if by all of that, their average is still below a 70?
Yep, we have an option for students whose average is below a 70, but is above a 65. We have what's called a first year foundations program that we will take a look at you for. It's really for students that are going into a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science program. And what we would do is offer you this option. You'd be on what we call a reduced course load, which is equivalent to 24 credits, which in the way, if you want to look at it to understand that better, typically a full course load student would take 5 courses per term. A reduced course load of 24 credits would mean you're just taking 4 courses per term. So that you understand that part. And what that means is that in your offer of admission, we'll be explaining some courses that we suggest that you take that would help you with your transition, help you sort of navigate what you need in order to be successful at university, and hope that we can get you up to speed and move you up to a full course load the following year, and help you really with your transition. But we have that opportunity for students who fall between that grade range.
What if students were to take night school, correspondence, or summer school courses?
Yep. We look at all those methods as being equal to day school, as long as you've taken those courses through a ministry approved, inspected school. So that is completely fine. We would need to have those courses completed as of June 30th. We need to see those courses. We need to see that you are registered in those courses. It is recommended if you can get your registration into us before April 1. And if you are applying to nursing or phys ed, and you are taking courses through any of those methods, we also recommend that you should have your midterm grade to us by mid-April, so that we could have that information when we're making decisions. In terms of scholarship purposes, we only look at grades completed as of June 30th, so taking anything the summer after grade 12, before you start NIPSing in the fall, will not go towards scholarship calculations. And if you need to take a course in order to meet your conditions through summer school after this academic year, you should contact us first just to let us know and to make sure that it is you're able to. For the most part, for majority of the programs, we can allow students to take summer school or night school after this academic year to meet the conditions of their offer of admission, but you just want to make sure, reach out to us first. If you are doing that, we do recommend and ask that you get your final grade to us by August 15th.
Cool. So jumping kind of back to right now in the process they're at this moment, what does it mean for students when they're doing their application, their ranking on OUAC, when they're ranking the program choices?
That's a good question. For NIPSing, it does not matter. And it is why I say this is a good question is because you should ask the different institutions that you're applying, and because they might prefer you to not necessarily rank fully, but put in order of your program choices within that institution in a certain order. For NIPSing, it does not matter the ranking, and it does not matter in terms of if you're applying to 2 or 3 programs here at NIPSing, the order that you put those programs in. We will make a decision on all programs, and we will make offers for any program that you are eligible to. It does not matter which order and where you've placed us on your application.
So I know a lot of our students are also interested in our concurrent education option because it's offered with most of our programs. What happens for students who apply for concurrent and don't meet the minimum of a 75%?
Yes, if for some reason or another you're not eligible for a concurrent education program, what we will do is that's one of our examples of an alternate offer, and so we will look at you for the undergraduate portion of concurrent education. So for example, if you've applied to concurrent education with your Bachelor of Arts in History, what we would do is if you're not eligible for concurrent education is we'd look at you for if you're admissible to the Bachelor of Arts in History. And if you are, then your alternate offer would be to that particular program. We have opportunities for students once they get here after first year and after second year in order to apply for what we call upper year concurrent education admission. So you have additional opportunities if for some reason you weren't eligible for that particular program right out of high school.
Awesome. So we have about 5 minutes left of the chat. So if anybody's out there, make sure you're getting those questions in. I'm going to move over a little bit to some questions about financial aid. So we do offer a lot of financial aid here at NIPSing University. If you came to any of our presentations this fall and you have our student guide, you know that we have some guaranteed entrance scholarships. So if you have a minimum of an 80% in your top 6 final 4U or 4M courses, you are guaranteed some sort of money off your tuition, especially if you have that 90% or above. You do get free tuition in your first year, which is awesome. And we've also got some other options that do require an application. Any of the ones that require an application have a deadline of May 1st. There's lots of them that are available out there, and once you become a NIPSing student, there's even more that you are able to apply for, so don't forget about those. Don't forget about those ones that are available out of your high school or out of your community, ones that you can find online, like Scholarships Canada. There's ones that you probably would have never heard of out there that you should be looking for, and specifically from our financial aid people, they say apply, because every year hundreds of thousands of dollars across Ontario and Canada don't get given out because nobody applies to them. So if you think you kind of meet the requirements, apply, because who knows, you might meet them the most and get that scholarship. So keep that in mind when you're looking at funding your application. Are you able to talk a little bit about OSAP at all and how that works with the application? So if you do have any questions about how, because OSAP is now tied to our application and it is new, so if you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to get in contact with our finance office. So you can either email them or give them a call. So all of that information can be found on our website. And it looks like we have a question that just came in.
It's actually a repeat question. So Taylor just tuned back in, and Courtney, she'd been asking you about all 4 people. So we will, first of all, we will post this online again so people can get answers if they've missed them. But I'll let you, Courtney, just maybe quickly give an abridged version of the answer to their question.
If you have a roommate group of 4 and you all want to indicate on your applications that you would all like to live together in your second year, there's not too many reasons why we wouldn't accommodate that. Again, make sure that those people are people that are similar to you, that you know you're going to get along well with, that you know you're going to live well with, because sometimes being friends with someone doesn't necessarily mean you will live well with them. But absolutely, if you have a roommate group and you would like to apply with that roommate group, as long as you all indicate that you would like to live together, we can accommodate that.
Awesome. So it looks like our time is almost up. Just to repeat again, you can visit this live after the fact. So go on to our Facebook and you can catch the little snippets of video that we were able to get, or go on to our Instagram, and there will be a link also on our Twitter. Also keep an eye out. We're going to be having some more online chats as well as more live chats happening over the next few months to kind of give you a better inside look at the university and what we can offer you. If you haven't had a chance to come and check out Nipissing, we are up here in North Bay, just 3.5 hours north of Toronto. If you go to our website, ibelong@nipissingU.ca, you'll be able to register for campus tours. It gives you a calendar that shows the availability each day. We have tours that usually are at 1 o'clock and select Saturdays at 1 o'clock. And then we also, like I mentioned before, have our open house coming up on Saturday, March 10th, which is a great day to be able to see our entire campus, speak with admissions people, speak with residence people, speak with current staff and faculty. So it's a great day to come and see what we have to offer. So I just want to thank again Courtney and Heather for coming on out today and taking the time to come and chat. And thanks again so much for joining us here today, and we are here to answer your questions at any time. Thanks everybody, have a great rest of your evening.